Hi, good day, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join our webinar today. My name is Alex. I'm with Leader. Joining us today, we've got the team from Ubiquiti. Specifically, we've got Jamie Higley joining us, who's going to be chatting to us about UniFi routing, switching, and cybersecurity products. Jamie is the Ubiquiti training director, so we're very excited to be having him here with us. And with that said, I'm going to hand over to Jamie now. Thanks, Jamie.
Hey, thank you, Alex, and thank you to everybody for participating in our webinar today. This is a follow-up to our previous webinar, UniFi Building the Future of IT. In that previous webinar, we covered some topics like the site manager, in this, as well as the cloud gateways. And in this webinar today, we'll be going over some of the advanced features, as well as most important features, not only in the routing and switching domains, but also in the cybersecurity domain. And just to review, again, the site manager is the place where you come to do a lot of your high-level monitoring, but also this is our centralized management plane where you can come to manage any number of customer sites. It's scalable. It works at like a global level. And toward the end of the call, we'll have a quick demo to show off some of these features here. A few of the features I'll also point out, you do configurations from the site manager, including our Site Magic site-to-site VPN. So license-free, flexible management architecture, and it's important to mention that all of your UniFi sites can be managed from the site manager. This is basically the journey for anybody that's using UniFi today. If you're not linking your sites, you're missing out on many of the important features like Update Manager, like I said, the Site Magic VPN, and there'll be a lot of additional features coming out soon as well here. With these cloud gateways that we typically recommend as the go-to solution for full stack UniFi, full stack refers to the full stack of UniFi applications, which becomes more and more important as the IT administrator is taking on more tasks and the increasing presence of Internet of Thing devices on the network. So being able to monitor, manage, and also grant access to different parts of the network, everything from the cameras to your access control devices, doorway entry, controlled gates, entrance, knowing when and how and where employees are accessing different parts of the building. And we have incredible software that culminates in the UniFi identity software, which I'll discuss in just a minute. But as I said, the UniFi Site Manager is growing in importance. You can think of this as your place today where you come to manage sites, add admins globally. And as time goes on, we'll be adding a lot more features so that you're able to do more things, not at the site level, but at the site manager level and cut down and save time. So as I said, Site Manager is infinitely scalable. You can have as many sites as you want in here. We have enterprise customers with thousands of sites being managed currently in the Site Manager. And yeah, we also recently added the API version 01. This is our first step in the direction of integrating with external providers, allowing some of the service providers, MSPs out there, and larger businesses to be able to extrapolate some of the most important information for each of your sites, such as client counts, update availability, internet health and performance, and this will be growing as time goes on. So as I mentioned, this is also where you come to manage all of your admins with custom roles and permissions and grant them access to, of course, the UniFi network application where you'll be doing most of the routing, switching, and cybersecurity configurations. So to wrap up the actual software involved, the UniFi Identity software is our seamless, secure endpoint solution. Think of the zero trust architecture in today's modern networks, where you basically need to make sure that anybody that's plugging in, anybody that's connecting to your network has controlled, monitored access to the different resources. And Identity is a free solution that we have bundled on our cloud gateway devices. So these cloud gateway devices, if you've used our cloud keys or you're not familiar with the cloud gateways, what they do is they bundle all the applications for management, but they also have a litany of other features that we'll go into in just a little bit. Advanced routing features, firewall features, IDS, IPS, all the things you need to secure your modern network. And the UniFi identity software is great because it allows you to very quickly onboard employees and start giving them permissions. What kind of permissions are we talking about? Well, one-click Wi-Fi. If somebody's on the site and they don't have access to the SSID, gone are the days where you have to remind people what the passkey is, and having to change it every month because somebody that's not part of the network is getting use of that. Door access as well, so employees that only need specific access to parts of the building. This ties into our physical security approach, having not only your network but also your cameras and your door access. Everything is tied into the UniFi platform through these cloud gateways, and the UniFi identity software allows you to do many things. Allowing employees to work from home with one-click VPN, soft phones, so they're not having to take home their VoIP phone with them, camera views. So if somebody wants to view part of the building while they're away, EV charging as well, all of that can be securely counted on with UniFi identity. And the way that this works, it's very simple. You basically get this added, your Active Directory integration, LDAP, the popular providers like Google, Microsoft. UniFi Identity supports all of those, and basically it's going to create, radius credentials for each of these users, doing all of that behind the scenes, so the IT manager doesn't really have to get their hands dirty, spend hours doing configurations. It's all very simple and tied in. So these cloud gateways come in many, many different models. I'll kind of quickly go through these because they are our most important devices since we launched the first one in 2019, the Dream Machine Pro. And these can support, thousands of clients for, true enterprise sites. What you're going to be seeing this year and in the years to come are our line of enterprise products. So these are, again, going to support high density applications, high total number of devices that you're managing, hundreds, thousands of clients, hundreds of access points at a stadium or music festival, anywhere that you're going to see intense traffic. And one of the most important features that we offer here too are some of the security features that I'll cover in this presentation. SSL inspection, built-in IDS, IPS, and having all the cores in the CPU to be able to handle that load. The Dream Machine Pro Max, Pro SE, and Pro are still our go-to solutions, for small to medium businesses, but also for some larger customers. Anybody that's basically looking for the qualified solution that has support for all of the applications, network for access points, switch management. Of course, your hotspot built in for Wi-Fi, but also the cameras through Protect, access for your doors, gates, controlled entry, exit, talk for voice over IP, and connect for the smart building technology. The Dream Wall is also going to support IDS like all of these other models. This is going to sit, kind of on the wall, maybe at like a higher end residential or a larger business or building. And this will have, a 16 port switch built into it, 12 of which are PoE ports, ranging from PoE to plus to plus plus. The Ultra Max is also a new cloud gateway we launched about 2 months ago. Think of this as like a compact version of our Dream Machine Pro. It's going to give you the high routing performance as well, 1.5 gigs gigabit routing with IDS and IPS enabled, up to about 300 clients, and it also has NVMe storage on it for handling video recordings. So I won't go too much into the physical security stuff. I think we'll probably have another webinar on that if we haven't already. But the Enterprise Fortress Gateway is our most important and most powerful router that we've launched to date, with advanced routing, security, all the VPN functionality you need to support up to and above 5,000 simultaneous clients. So this can be managed anywhere in the world, like we said, with unifi.ui.com. And one of the very important features that we look at in today's modern network is SSL inspections. So making sure that all the traffic is monitored, down to the search queries, the actual files that are getting passed on your network, and pretty soon we'll also have support for sandboxing. Just to compare, some of the features you have available. You've got your UCG Ultra. This is similar to the Max, but it does not have all the application support for it. It's going to allow you to do pretty much all of these models. Our next generation firewalls, threat management, DPI, our SD-WAN approach with Site Magic, policy-based routing, WAN load balancing and failover. All of these models support that. And if you're actually looking to get your hands on one of these and get some training on it as well, I definitely recommend you guys check out the UniFi Network Professional, UNP, or our full stack professional training classes. Those are also being offered by Leader, and definitely a great opportunity to get your training on some of these features, as well as experience with the cloud gateways. And since about 2016, when we launched our first UniFi gateway, we've added tons new features. Like I said, around 2019 was when we launched the UniFi Dream Machine, and since then it's really taken off. Tons more features, QoS, multi-WAN, load balancing for basically supporting any type of network, any type of scenario, and we're continuing to add lots more features. So keeping it very simple to start, detailed analytics and logging are super important. This is something that we'll be continuing to add to. Like I said, with the API, we're also allowing you to bring some of those features to other applications and other software from other providers. One of the most important features, though, that any modern network looks for, enterprise, critical applications that need high uptime availability, is redundancy. And redundancy starts at the power level, having two of the same devices in place. And we allow you to do that with all of our rack mounted cloud gateway models. So Enterprise Fortress Gateway, UniFi Dream Machine Pro, UniFi Dream Machine Pro Max. And it's very simple to get this up and running. It's our virtual router redundancy protocol called Shadow Mode. We also, have many other features. Like I've said, load balancing is very easy to specify between, your upstream providers. You've got two 50-50 load balancing, or you can just set it to easy failover. We have a number of different products in the LTE space as well that allow you to do, cellular backup routing, but also, hot swappable PSUs. You see that on the EFG units here. As I mentioned, the shadow mode's very easy to get up and running. It's going to automatically fail over in the current version that we have, so it requires very little intervention. We've got helpful guides that explain step by step how to plug it in, and you'll get your EFG up and running in no time. So on the switching side, and we'll come back to some of the routing features and cybersecurity throughout this, as you guys know, switching as well involves a lot of cybersecurity, knowing at layer 2 and locally, how do you secure your ports with 802.1x, port-based network access control. So we'll talk about a few different things here, but first, just to introduce some of these products, looking at our core switches, fiber aggregation switches here. For those of you guys who have been at the Ubiquiti World Conferences this year, you'll notice that we've been launching these enterprise products. You can definitely count on us to have some more aggregation switches in the coming weeks, days. Just make sure that you're subscribed to our newsletter as well. On the standard switch side, so also at the core, distribution layers, toward the access layers as well. We've got our Enterprise, Pro Max, Professional, and Standard versions. All of these are going to give you, port count up to 48 ports, downlink, uplink speeds range between, 1, 10, 25 gigabits per second. So you can figure out where you want these in your network. The Pro Max and Professional, I believe the Enterprise as well, also have a new feature that we added for, some of the AV installers, audio, video protocols. In order to support QoS, natively on these switches and prioritize that traffic. We've begun to support a number of popular vendors. So when I get into the demos a little bit later, I'll go through some of those applications. So some of the other switches that we have, are utility switches, as we refer to, industrial switches, switches that will be wall mounted, and many different models here. Definitely recommend you guys go to store.ui.com. It's very useful for being able to sort between, maybe I need a switch with 8 ports that has PoE++ and supports, STP with SFP modules built in, and it would tell you the exact model that you're looking for. So I know, installers use this. People on kind of the sales distribution side also use that application as well. techspecs.ui.com. You can also count on a great mobile app that we use is called Ubiquiti Portal. That has native support for tech specs. So a few other applications to point out. With the UniFi network software, we make topology generation and visualization very easy. Being able to rotate this, zoom in, get a bird's eye view of all the traffic that's being passed and where you're having faults and detections, and being able to see, because redundancy is very important in networks, where you have loops introduced into your network. You get all these notifications, and the topology is also built into the design center as well, so that when you're planning your projects, you can very quickly figure out with cable maps and routing exactly how your topology is going to look before you even deploy it in the real world. Granular port analytics and configuration. So we have what's called the port manager built into the UniFi network software, and this makes it very easy to start configuring things like VLANs, your trunk ports, getting everybody assigned a proper access port, and essentially being able to see in real time all the statistics that are most important for your ports, but also creating these port templates and profiles to very quickly accelerate how you configure your switches. All right, so on some of the cybersecurity topics, which are going to get sprinkled out throughout this webinar, things that you want to look out for on the local network. Obviously ensuring that, like layer 1, your closets, your switches, all of your access hardware is secured, and people can't just easily open up a closet, making sure those are locked and not able to get into those places so they can start messing around with your hardware. But if somebody is on your network, things to look out for include MAC spoofing, the ability to kind of change and set your network interface card MAC, ARP poisoning, being able to send forged ARP traffic, tricking hosts into updating the cache and initiate man-in-the-middle attacks. And here on the right-hand side, you see we've got some tips for things that you can do, whether it's built into the UniFi software, being able to mitigate and prevent those types of attacks. ACLs are something that we launched a couple of months ago, and super important. I believe it was in end of July. And in our training courses, we also teach you how to build these powerful MAC ACLs for MAC-based authentication, blacklists, whitelists, of preventing users on your network or allowing, and creating quick exceptions for that as well. A few other things to point out, and maybe we can even discuss this on the Wi-Fi 7 webinar in a couple of days, are rogue access points. This is anybody that's broadcasting an unauthorized SSID either on your network or adjacent to your network, using maybe your own SSID to initiate a man-in-the-middle attack. And inside the UniFi network application, we have event detection so that admins can get informed as soon as that stuff happens. Enabling DHCP guarding and snooping. I'll show that in a little bit in the network application where you would want to configure that. It's very simple to mitigate the, maybe somebody plugs in, they bring their own router from home and starts initiating DHCP traffic, and that could cause all sorts of problems. But with DHCP guarding and snooping enabled, your switches are going to know exactly who's the trusted DHCP server on the network and prevent that traffic from propagating. Obviously, VLANs are like super important for making sure that anybody that is plugged in and receiving resources on the network for which they should be connected. Also, ensuring that VLAN traffic has to get routed back to the layer 3 switch or to the router. And so at that point, at the cloud gateway, you're able to implement a number of things like very helpful firewalls and all sorts of different approaches to like identity-based traffic. So we'll talk about that in just a minute, UniFi identity. A few other things to point out. We do support the popular standards 802.1x for port-based network access controls. Being able to create radius users. These cloud gateway devices, they have radius servers built into them. As I mentioned with UniFi identity, that's all happening in the background. You're not having to configure any of this. Your switches, your access points, those are acting as the authenticators. But for a very simple approach, again, UniFi identity, anybody that has a cloud gateway today has access to this software. It's freely built in. And as you can see over here, basically anybody can start using their mobile device or their laptop with our UniFi identity software, our endpoint solution, to begin to get access to the network. And this is the perfect way for IT managers to not only have peace of mind knowing that the people who are accessing the network are actual employees, they're credentialed, but also very easy to integrate with popular databases out there and providers. As I mentioned, the ACLs got launched a couple of months ago as a way for you to block all traffic between different subnets. So as we mentioned, VLANs are critical to ensuring that users are able to broadcast and send traffic to the devices locally that they're supposed to. But for any traffic that needs to get sent out of the subnet, maybe to out to the internet even, that all has to go through the gateway. And so our ACLs allow us to not only at the switch level, but also at the router level, block all communication between devices, whether it's in the same network or whether you're doing it with clients themselves. Think of this as like client isolation. So here you can see this. This is all built right into the network and security page. I'll get into those at the end of the webinar just to hop through and do some demos. Onto the WAN technologies, moving a little bit away now from layer 2 and your switches. Load balancing, failover, policy-based routing, all these things will get discussed. We have a number of different modems and routers that are available for different scenarios that support some of the most important things like Wi-Fi on the site VPN. That would be kind of more in like the mobility range, but also with our LTE backups, this is a way for you to easily plug into the switch. And anytime your primary internet provider goes down, then you start routing your packets over the LTE data connection. I'll actually skip over this cable modem because I'm not sure for the listeners here. I believe you guys are in Australia, and this particular model is, I don't believe it's available currently over there. However, our mobility routers, we do have a couple of those out there. These are very powerful devices with lots of different ways that you can power these. So like on the go, UniFi management of like a hotspot or a mobile business that is constantly needing to have management. We take these to our conferences as like a backup and a primary routing method as well. And we'll probably have pretty soon another product we are showing at some of our conferences. So make sure you guys are subscribed at ui.com/newsletters, and you'll be the first to be informed as soon as those products get announced. All right, so coming into this kind of the static dynamic routing features, as we mentioned, these cloud gateways are versatile devices that support a number of different features. Static routing is obviously an important feature we've had since, like around 2016, if I recall correctly, on our first gateways. But over time, we've implemented and added a few more things. OSPF, BGP is also coming very soon to be able to support routing between and within large enterprise networks. So when would you want to use policy-based routing? This is a special type of static route. This is super useful for being able to prioritize your traffic and route your traffic by a particular rule. For example, maybe I have users in subnet A and I'd like them to be routed traffic over ISP1. And I have users in subnet B who I'd like to route traffic over WAN 2. And within UniFi, it's very, very easy to create these types of rules. You just come to the routing section, click on policy-based routes, select the traffic that you want to route, the source, the destination, basically the triggers that are going to influence these policies, and get your packets routed. This fallback is also an important feature to, in case that interface that it's routing over goes down, like WAN 2. Are we still going to use the route? If we still want to use the route, but we want to fall back to the primary WAN interface, that's when you would enable that. So you can think of all different types of scenarios when policy-based routing comes into play. Obviously, for like providers, this becomes very important, but also for like prioritizing traffic by geolocation. Maybe you're sending a specific type of traffic, and you want it to be routed based on a domain or based on a region. All right, so getting into some of the other technologies, such as our VPN technologies. As I mentioned, last year we launched the SiteMagic SD-WAN application. This is built into Site Manager. Basically, this is running a combination of two things. It's WireGuard for VPN between different sites to create these tunnels with scalability in mind, as well as OSPF routing in the background. So for those of you who are not super familiar with OSPF or setting up VPNs and understand it's kind of tricky to do those things, it can take, even though it's dynamic and even though it is far more reliable as far as when you are working on this late at night and you're setting up 100 different static routes versus a few clicks and setting up a dynamic series of routes, definitely you want to rely on those dynamic routing protocols. But still, that can be daunting. It can take a lot of time and effort, and it also requires just some general knowledge about OSPF and VPNs. And so what Site Manager, by way of the SiteMagic tool, goes ahead and does is it eliminates all of the configuration. You're literally going in here. As you can see here, we've got 3 different sites: Portland corporate office, the Salt Lake warehouse, the Seattle office. All of them are needing to share traffic between different interfaces and networks. And so as a result, we create these tunnels. We start routing using OSPF, but we don't have to configure any of that. All we have to do is just click, click, click on each one of the networks that we want to share, and instantly they're able to route. So this is an instant tool. In our training courses, we showed just how easy this is. All it requires is a cloud gateway device in order to route those packets using OSPF over site-to-site tunnels. Another interesting piece of software is called the Teleport VPN software. So SiteMagic is targeting site-to-site tunnels. However, Teleport is our approach to remote user VPNs. And these are using popular VPN standards, protocols out there. But what we've done is we've gone ahead and we've made our proprietary software on top of it to make it super easy for you to download the VPN configuration. It installs directly on your laptop. It also works on your mobile device. This is all built into the Wi-Fi Man app. If any of you guys are familiar with that, that's free. It's super popular software with tons of features and functionality built in. As you can see here at the bottom, speed, signal, scan, discovery. So it's got a lot of IT tools in there, but the teleport feature is very useful for instantly hopping on the remote user network. And once you're on, you're instantly able to send traffic as if you were locally connected on site. All right, so a couple of best practices I just want to go over. These are things that we train on. We have lots of lab activities in our routing, switching, and cybersecurity course. So if you're looking for hands-on training with like 802.1x or switch isolation, those MAC ACLs I was describing earlier, as well as like the difference between UniFi identity, getting how easy that is to set up versus like MAC based authentication, which is not technically a secure thing anymore, and it's typically what happens when a mobile device connects to the Wi-Fi these days. It's just generating automatically, randomizing its MAC address, so you really can't rely on MAC as like a function of how you keep your network secure or how you give access on the network. So identity-based secure credentials, endpoint solutions, UniFi identity emerges as our approach for that. And it makes the life of the IT admin super easy because, again, all of that management is taking place on the UniFi software itself. Some of the remote traffic controls, obviously Site Magic and VPNs, are definitely preferred over port forwarding. When you hear people talk about port forwarding, that's introducing like an open port that attackers can listen to and sniff. So we definitely recommend VPNs for secure tunnels. Obviously, the site manager gives you access to a number of different features. All you have to do is create a UI account. There's zero licensing involved with the site manager. And yeah, highly recommend you guys link all of your sites to unifi.ui.com. Last thing to mention here, the virtual LANs. It's super important that you're segmenting your networks, not just having everybody connected on the same network as, say, your UniFi devices, your APs, your switches. All right, moving into kind of the traffic and next generation firewalls. So UniFi really excels in a number of different ways. Obviously, we make great hardware, but the software experience is really what makes the life of the IT admin so great when he's working with these products. So deep packet inspection is a function that we've had for quite a while now. And what this is essentially doing is showing you at kind of layer 7 what the payload is of the traffic of users on your network. And this is built into the dashboard page. It's very easy to see. And then from here, you can hover over the different types of traffic and say to yourself, wow, man, it looks like there's a lot more people using that traffic application that I really want. And you can just easily click on block application, and then it will take you to the firewall section, and you can create these simple firewalls to instantly start blocking or constraining traffic. So as I mentioned, our software is super intuitive, especially on the network side. We're giving you all the bells and whistles as well. But if you're just looking to do things very simply, we have what's called the simple firewall rules, as well as the advanced firewall rules. And so simple firewall rules are basically just going to give you a choice between 3 different actions: blocking, allowing, or speed limits. If you want to allow a particular traffic, but you want to throttle that traffic, and you can create schedules for this type of traffic. You can specify any number of things like to which devices or which network or individual devices these rules are applying. So you can see that simple rules are pretty straightforward. But as well as on the advanced side, we give you all the access to the rule lists. With pretty much all advanced firewalls out there, you've got interfaces, and you're applying rules. The rule order affects how, when, and where traffic is being blocked or accepted. It's going through these rule lists until a rule is being initiated. So again, for guys who don't want to lose time here or spend hours troubleshooting, the simple firewall rule option is definitely enticing. But we call this application aware next gen firewall because it's just that. It's letting you go in, figure out instantly where's the traffic originating from, where is it going, how much traffic is this, and there's some other features I'll go into a little bit later. You can see here we're blocking a specific rule for social networks or instant messengers. You can select entire app groups to block, as well as destination traffic, create speed limits. You want to throttle guest users very easily. You can do this at the router level. You can also do this at the Wi-Fi level as well. Something we can discuss in the Wi-Fi 7 webinar later. All right, so getting into the IDS, IPS features, this is a definite reason to consider the UniFi cloud gateways in all of your customer deployments, because they're exactly that. They're all-in-one devices that support a litany of different security features, and IDS IPS is continuing to grow in the features we add and the importance. So things like internal honeypot. If there's a malicious client on the network that's looking for vulnerabilities, we can get informed whenever they scan one of those open ports. That's typically a behavior that malicious users will do, is look for vulnerabilities, and you as the admin need to get informed about that. You create these honeypots and you can get informed. Content filtering, so blocking malicious and phishing domains, stopping and preventing bad traffic. As most of you guys are aware, typically what we see is instead of hackers busting into networks, it's usually the case that they're being let in by either unsuspecting users or ignorant users, and it is on the IT personnel and managers to make sure that the staff on the networks are trained. They know what types of files are trustworthy, what types of websites they should be visiting. But just to add one other layer of prevention, here we have all these different features: content filtering, ad blocking, preventing dark web access, blocking traffic to and from Tor, malicious IPs. There's a large list of low reputation IPs that gets updated frequently, as well as our threat signatures that gets updated daily, and I'll discuss that in just a minute. Country restrictions. So if you know that there are certain regions of the world or countries that you shouldn't be seeing traffic to or from originating on your network, you can just instantly go ahead and block that traffic. DNS shield. This is a way to encrypt DNS queries over HTTPS. This is something we also teach in our training courses, and this is a great way for you to be able to prevent users' DNS traffic from being discovered, so that outside parties are able to see, hey, to what domain are you actually navigating? So just to summarize here, UniFi has built into these cloud gateways a ton of advanced security features, and those threat preventions I was mentioning are basically a list of known threat signatures that get updated daily. So once you buy one of these cloud gateway devices, you're not just getting a license-free product. What you're getting is a product that is becoming more and more secure every day without any licensing costs to you as the end customer. We have actually a extended threat management option, or enhanced, I believe is the name. So the number of signatures that get added here increases from around 5 per day to around 30 to 50. And so, yeah, if security is a huge, hugely important thing on your network, i.e., you have very sensitive files or the think government projects, definitely something to consider. And I believe this is available on our Enterprise Fortress Gateway models, as well as our most popular cloud gateway models. So network malware and threats, what types of threats are we preventing against? Obviously, you as the IT managers have to educate. I think October is kind of traditionally seen as the cybersecurity month, and you have to go through training at a lot of organizations. So what we recommend is you guys take advantage of that, but also make sure that you've got your IDS, IPS running on your UniFi cloud gateways, so that you're preventing ransomware, spyware, any type of signature, or what we're referring to as traffic that appears to be related to a specific type of virus or malware. It creates this signature, and your cloud gateway is intelligent and will be able to block that traffic before it even happens. So a few other features to point out, some of the coolest features as well. On these Enterprise Fortress gateways, you've got SSL inspection recently added. This is a way for you to upload your SSL certificate to your Enterprise Fortress gateway. And like I said, this is a very powerful device. So it's able to do things in addition to what our other cloud gateways do, which is advanced firewalls, routing, OSPF routing, tunnels. All of our cloud gateways support that. But for the SSL inspection, you really need a workhorse here. And this is built into what's called our Next AI software. So artificial intelligence analytics, helping you query any type of traffic that you really want to block, and get down to the actual application layer, down to the actual data inside those packets and connections of your customers. What's happening is essentially it's encrypted traffic's getting sent from customers intended for the internet, some server. And so before it reaches that server, your enterprise fortress gateway is decrypting that traffic, performing queries on it. Maybe you want to block URLs, you want to block any type of domain, specific file types, and you want to apply this to a particular network, maybe just the network guess. Obviously, this introduces a lot of things like you need to have permission, and you obviously there are in many countries restrictions on who, when, where you can perform SSL inspection on. So we recommend definitely check before you enable this feature, especially in sensitive applications like hospitals, healthcare industry, governments. Yeah, that's got to be careful with that. So a few of the actions as they appear inside the UniFi network software, you can create these SSL inspection actions on acting on certain URLs, categories, queries on specific terms like porn, guns, gambling. You can prevent that traffic, or just track it and block, and even block it if that's what you so desire. As well as create actions for specific file types that are less trustworthy or could have other malware hiding inside. All right, kind of to wrap up the slide presentation part, I just want to touch on some of the professional services that we've been discussing at our UniFi World conferences this last year. And we have an expert pre-sales team that helps with large projects. So any of you guys out there that are interested in getting help on the planning side, architects that can really get in there and make sure that you have exceptional products and everything is set up so that when it's shipped to the customer, everything works perfectly, everything's spec'd out. There's obviously a ton of tools we also have as well, which I'll cover on the final slide in just a second. Professional phone support as well. A little bit earlier this year, we also rolled in 24-hour urgent coverage. Before it was previously just 5 days a week, but now we've extended that to 7 days a week, 24 hours. So these are world-class engineers. They get trained. They're very qualified people. They get trained not only from our training teams, but also from the product manager teams themselves. So you have basically a personal contact with the support team, somebody you can talk to on the phone, and we've only heard great things about this phone support. So any of you guys that are looking for that, that's built in right onto the site manager page, unifi.ui.com. You're going to see a little icon with a phone support option. You just click on it to enable phone support per site. The last thing to mention, UI Care. This is a continued option that we've expanded. Gives you expedited hardware replacement, free return shipping, unlimited 5-year service. Only thing you need to make sure is that you're getting this at the time of purchase, whether it's buying it directly from us at one of our stores globally. As I mentioned on the final slide, there's a number of different tools, bookmarks, basically essential resources that anybody that works on the UniFi platform or with our products, you're going to find something that will benefit you here. I don't really have time to go through all of these. We did discuss them at length on the UniFi, the previous webinar, discussing kind of introduction to UniFi, but most important things here, obviously bookmark unifi.ui.com. You have tons of features built into the site manager. And as long as you're subscribed on the community to the releases and updates on the site manager, you're going to find out as soon as a new feature launches on site manager or on your cloud gateways themselves or on the APs, for example. Switches as well. All of our products, you're going to get updates through community. A few other things to point out here. We make incredible mobile apps. One of the mobile apps, the only one I'm just going to mention here by name, is the Ubiquiti portal app. I discussed it earlier. And what it basically does is it has native support for many of the functions you see here on this slide. The tools, tech specs, calculators, those are all built in natively. The community as well. So you can come natively look up posts and get release information in Ubiquiti portal. So definitely check that one out. You might think you've already downloaded it, but it's a pretty recent software that we launched a little earlier this year. So if you're not using it yet, or you're not maybe aware if you are, definitely check that one out. All right, and I think at this point I will move us out of our slides. I do kind of want to do a quick little demo, go through some of the features. I am running EFG here for our demo. You can see the dashboard page is presenting to us all the statistics that we need to know about our current site. Unifi.ui.com is where we're going to see site organization level statistics. Do things like site magic, view all the different ISPs for all my different customer sites that are being managed, as well as things like the threat enhancements. As I mentioned, this can be built in right onto the site manager. It makes it very easy to activate and get advanced signature and protection against vulnerabilities 0-day as well. So coming to the topology page, really cool feature that we've added to make this super easy for guys who are maybe not the most network savvy or don't know how to configure VLANs. On the topology page, and to my knowledge, I don't know if there's another manufacturer out there that allows you to create as simply as we do, VLANs based on devices graphically. You can just click and select on all the devices that you want to add to the VLAN, give it a different name like VoIP network, create those changes, and instantly it will provision all the devices in order to make sure that they have VLAN access, but also that your switches are passing those VLAN tags. All right, so a few other things I want to hop into and show our USW Pro, our Switch Pro, Pro Max as well. As I mentioned, these have a pretty cool feature that I want to kind of go into really quick. You come into the settings, profiles, Ethernet ports. We have this Pro AV feature. Over the last year, I've been going to a number of the different conferences and meeting with some of the integrators and guys who do like residential and some of the AV projects, and they were really happy to see this added in there. Basically, you're going to create your port for like Dante or any number of popular audio video protocols out there, and you've created your port, and this is essentially going to give you QoS designed for that AV protocol, and then you can assign that very quickly to your switch ports. So I'll come here to my port manager, click on my port, immediately look for that switch port profile. Down here at the bottom, manual, and you can even, if you want, create your own QoS mapping. This is something I believe that's getting added very soon, or if not already added. Here's the port profile section, Dante port, boom, it's right there, and makes it super easy to add this. A few other things to point out. I'll save the Wi-Fi AP stuff for our next one. Radios as well, I'll save that for the Wi-Fi 7 webinar. But like I said, it's super easy to come in and see your traffic type. Viewer gives you a high-level view of the different, networks, VPN servers, all the different services and routes that are being managed on your network site. The flows section is going to give you details into block traffic as well as active threats that are being detected. This is actually one of my internal sites, so I don't have any real traffic being propagated here, but what you can see is, depending on the severity of the threat, it will actually inform you how vital it is that you take action. You can see the different types of risks based on high, medium, low informational categories, as well as block traffic for like actual firewall rules. So if you've created some firewall rule to block, a popular Chinese app that's teenagers love to use, then that would just appear under here each time that the firewall rule got triggered. All right, you can come to a few other sections like VPNs, as I mentioned, teleport. We make it really easy to generate a guest invite, like a single one-time use. Somebody just needs to quickly get on the network for a few minutes and download something. You can generate this, send them that link. The Wi-Fi Man app makes it very easy to recurringly get back on and off the VPN. It's built in for not only mobile devices, but also we have a desktop app as well. As I said, site-to-site VPN, this can be a little tricky. You see all the different configuration options that are listed here. And again, Site Magic makes it really, really simple, really easy to just, link up one or more different sites. Obviously, the site needs to be online for the VPN tunnel to be established. Currently, this is supported as a mesh topology. Later, we're going to add like a hub and spoke topology so you can support hundreds or thousands of different simultaneous tunnels and be able to influence influence how traffic gets routed out of the organization. A few other areas. So like I mentioned, I actually did not mention this in the call, but in DNS entries, we added this a little bit ago. You're able to add a number of different DNS types, specify domain name that you want. If any hosts are using the UniFi gateway as their actual server, then it will begin using that domain that's stored locally on DNS on your UniFi Cloud Gateway. NAT is super simple here. You come here and you can specify when you untoggle. By default, global NAT settings are set to auto, but with custom, you can just select, hey, I want my guest network and my corporate network to use NAT, but actually my IoT network, I'm not so sure I don't want that one to use NAT. All the popular NAT implementations, Masquerade, Source, Destination, and we train on all of that in the UniFi training courses. So if you're interested in getting any more hands-on here on specific features, testing things out like load balancing, seeing how load balancing will toggle between 50-50, 100, 99-1, or just failover, and see just how quickly this occurs. I do recommend going and taking the training course. We go into detail about network isolation, those ACLs, how easy it is to create entries for different networks you want to block, corporate users from the IoT users, the guest users from the corporate and IoT users, so that they're isolated, only sending out traffic to the internet. You can actually configure inside the network itself a number of different things, like being able to see um, specify this is a guest network. I only want guests to be able to communicate with each other and access the internet, but you can do that within the network itself. You can isolate the network from others or disable internet access as well. Content filtering is also built in. I showed that in the security section, but this is also built right into the network's configuration as well. But when you come to security, you're going to see a lot of features. Probably the coolest one today to show is, again, that next AI capability of decrypting SSL, encrypted traffic, and let you perform queries on customer traffic on the network. ACL rules, blocking and allowing, so whitelist, blacklist, based on MAC, based on IP address. This has all been added a few months now. And lots more features to show in the but time is pretty limited, so I think for the next 5 minutes or so, we'll kind of turn to the QA and see how we're doing over there. But I wanted to thank you guys for listening to the slides that we prepared for today.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie. A couple of good questions that came through. Thank you so much for everyone for submitting. A lot of the questions were asked in the Australian context, so a lot of them were related to stocking and essential aid compliance, etc. So for those questions, for the most part, in ETAs, etc., we will be referring back to everyone individually if we haven't answered you already on the question section. And in terms of the essential aid compliance, etc., as well, we will also be referring back to you guys directly from that. There was a couple of good questions. Maybe, Jamie, you can expand on this. The couple of questions were focused on if you're using, for example, the EFG, how would you go about adding the additional applications? So, for example, the EFG can only do the network component. What would you do to add, for example, access or protect or something along those lines to the same solution?
Hey, that's a great question. I don't know who asked that, but a pat on the back to you. I actually meant to cover that in my in my webinar today. So The approach we have to that is very simple. And you can see in my site manager here, there's this little number listed next to the name of my customer site. So this is my site in Utah. It's a state over in the United States. And you can see all the applications are running on this particular site, but the EFG only runs, it's a dedicated appliance, server, advanced firewall, some of the gateway features you saw in there. So it's dedicated to just kind of the network traffic management. Um, and so alternatively, what you have is you have other consoles that are dedicated for like security. So UNVRs. And so what you can have is you can have locally connected consoles. Um, merge. It's a recent feature that we just added. And as I mentioned, if you come to the community under the releases section, there's we make a ton of products, and so I don't expect everybody to have all of the different categories of products selected. But if you want to come here and just make sure that you have the site manager selected, okay, site manager, you definitely want to subscribe to these updates because you're going to see, something that everybody uses every single day. And yeah, 4 days ago, I think every week we have at least a new official version of this with new features getting added. So the ability to merge different consoles uh, onto a single site got recently added, I think in just the last month or so. And yeah, this makes it really easy to click on the site, and then as if all of my applications were being managed on a single console, that's how they appear under a single interface. So the only requirement there is all of your consoles just be locally connected on the site, which shouldn't be a problem because again, they're consoles that are hosted on the same site. But yeah, that's the approach. If you want to have, for example, here we got an EFG, UNVR, and a UCK G2 Plus. All these are running different applications.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie. That was really good info and a good question as well. I think the majority of the questions have been answered. I just also wanted to make a comment in terms of any additional feature or questions that you guys might have. Please feel free to post them through now. And also, you're welcome to share them to us at webinars@leadersystems.com.au.